We're shaking, folks. Back with another reaction. Back with some more Depeche Mode. I feel like I need to address. I know I don't sound like I'm perfectly healthy, but I definitely feel a million times better than I did even as recently as yesterday. I feel a lot better than I sound, so I'm going to do a handful of reactions, begin the process of getting back into the groove of doing reactions, so this won't be the biggest session, but I'm going to get at least a handful done. And one that I wanted to do is a reaction for Stephan, which is to say, Stephan, big friend and patron of the channel, massively appreciated, has shared a number of different artists with me, which I've only just begun the very early stages of going through, and once more, I appreciate the patience. But yeah, it was his birthday yesterday, and I wasn't able to do a reaction to that, or for that purpose, because I was still too ill. But I did want to get back and do something as soon as I was able, so we're going to do a reaction to a Depeche Mode tune that he had requested, and that is Higher Love, the final tune on their 1993 album Songs of Faith and Devotion, or at least the final tune on my version, as I've come to learn, not just with Depeche Mode, but other groups as well. There are often track listing or even like number of track differences between the UK or European and US releases, so at least on my version of the album, this is the last track, though as people will know, people who've been following my Depeche Mode deep dives, this album, I do not remember it or know it as well. Number one, as several of the other albums from the first couple decades of the band's history, and number two, as well as I thought I did, which is to say, in my room, like, I had the remix more in mind, and then when I listened to the track that's actually on the album, I thought it was like a non-album single, so again, I don't remember this album as well as I should, but going back through the tunes has been, it has made me appreciate the album more, I think, than I did at the time. So in any case, what I remember about this tune is that it's another one that gets at that potent mixture of lyrical themes for Depeche Mode, which is lines that seemingly speak to religious themes, but they could also be taken for more indulgent psycho-emotional obsessions or proclivities. So it's one that, again, rides the line of where it seems to maybe be using religious or faith-based language, but perhaps you can look at the lines from angles that are not necessarily running in that true direction, but could perhaps be figurative in terms of, you know, speaking to addictive behavior or dark addictions and so on. As such, I don't remember it well enough to speak definitively, but that is what I remember, that it gets at that common lyrical nexus or Venn diagram of themes that it seems like a lot of Depeche Mode tunes are about. So let's listen. This is Higher Love from the 1993 album Songs of Faith and Devotion by Depeche Mode.
Taste more than feel. It's burning inside.
Depeche in their element.
That you can rise above. Lifted
I've learned you have to be on guard for Depeche Mode. Sometimes they come at you. But assuming that actually is the end, yeah, in the vaguest sense possible, it's the tune I remembered, but sonically it's way crazier than I remembered it. I remembered it had, a quasi-industrial sound to it. I remembered it had like soaring vocals at different points, but ultimately the character of the actual track sonically was stunning, and it was much better than I remembered. Which again, for 30 years, I feel like I've underestimated and underappreciated this album. Not that I didn't enjoy some tunes from it, and hello. So I suppose it wouldn't have been a return to reactions without one of them clipping off at the end and me having to come back and finish off comments. But yeah, basically, I was just saying that I've come to a new appreciation of this album, and I think this was a perfect capstone to the record. I think it finishes it marvelously. As I mentioned during the song, it sounds like 90s Depeche, absolutely in their wheelhouse, which when I say that, I'm often thinking of Ultra, which I know is crazy, right? Because that's when the group was most fraying or spinning apart at the edges and in danger of not continuing. Nevertheless, I think this album is perhaps a more obvious predecessor to Ultra than I had realized. So again, big shout out to this album in particular. I'm trying to remember what year. I have it out here somewhere. Yeah, so I have, again, the reissue, because this is one that I had to replace. And I'm trying to remember what year the reissue is. Does it say it? No, it does. It's 2016, I think. So I don't know if that's just strictly a reissue or if this is in any way a remaster. But either way, that hit me more significantly than I remembered. So big shout out to Stephan. Happy birthday to you, and apologies. It was a day late. I'm sure you'll say it's no big deal, but big shout out to you. And ultimately, yeah, I'm going to keep going through and try to hit the remaining tracks on the studio albums from Depeche that I haven't done yet. As I said, I've done most of the tracks from the earlier albums, less so the post-2000 albums, which, again, I know are not everybody's favorite, but either way, we'll go through everything eventually. Do let me know what you think of this. I will see you next time. Peace.